And so we listen to the mindfulness bell. And we consciously exhale as we enter into the sacred moment, realizing that the sacred moment is always waiting for our attention. And it is so easy to get distracted by the world, by beliefs. You can go on and on and on. But the simple act of stopping is one of the most sacred practices any of us could acquire in this long life that we live. Because in stopping, we go within and we can observe what's arising. And the very fact that we're observing what's arising means that we are the observer. And what's arising could be worry or fear or judgment or yada, yada. But when we become the observer of that, there's this beautiful detached awareness. And Buddhism is all based on awareness. Awareness, they say, is the Lord of everything. And so when we can be aware of the consciousness that's operating within us, well, then we can identify as this awareness, not necessarily the narrative that might want to go on. And that's a detached awareness. And so for this time, this Sunday morning, let's hang out in that field of awareness. I am observing the patterns that no longer serve me. I am observing that beautiful peace that passes all understanding. It's always there waiting for us. So sometimes it's good to just hold a flower in your hand and look at the flower and notice how it's expressing its beauty. But it's not going on and on about some kind of issue that happened yesterday or that might happen tomorrow. No, it's fully present in the moment. And so we get to be here now. That was Ram Dass's first book, To Be Here Now. It became his whole ministry. And at the end of his long life, his last book was entitled Be Love Now. So in that evolution of being fully present, he had evolved into being loving, no matter what arises. And so we smile to that evolutionary process that life offers us. We do a little chant here at the center, which has become a way of life for me. And it goes like this. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. And as I'm letting go, I am healed. I am made whole. And so there is an awareness that perhaps some things don't serve me. And when I have the courage to let those things go, I am healed. I am made whole. And so when the nattering nabobs of negativity want to show up in my consciousness, I thank them for sharing. But I don't choose to follow you today. When my neighbor shows up and wants to rant and rave about X, Y, or Z, I can say thank you for sharing, but I don't want your karma. And in that, we have chosen not to go down the path of ain't it awful. And it sets us free to be fully present in the moment, to find the love that passes all understanding, and to come home to the truth of who we are. And so this Sunday, we choose to enter into this experience called life. Deep inhalation, Give a sigh for the divine. Ah. And open your eyes and look around you. Because wheresoever you look, you see the face of God. Oh my goodness, God looks pretty today. It's so nice to see all these familiar faces that are truly like family for me. I mean, I remember when I came here on Easter Sunday, 1989, Judy Graff was right there smiling at me. And she's still sitting there. It's nice to see you again, my beloved. And, you know, we get to do this life experience as a spiritual family. And there's a gratitude for it. I've been doing this for 37 years now, and I couldn't be more excited at this stage of my evolution. I'm teaching this class called the non-dual reality, which means there aren't two. There's not you and me, there's only this one life unfolding through multiplicity. And I shared this with Ben, this picture of Einstein. And when I come here at 7 a.m, I go and turn the lights on in the church, I water the plants, and I went into the men's room, and there was Einstein looking at me. And I stopped, and I looked at him, and I said, okay, this life belongs to you, step in. Let's experience that oneness. And then I wrote this little thing that was on my Zen calendar. It was a quote from Albert Einstein. He said, our job is to know that what we are is the universe. And the only obstacle to that is the self that we've so deeply identified with, that has all the issues and the struggles and the this. And he says, when you step out of that, he says, then you can go out into nature and know that you're one with all creation. And he says, try that on for size. And I said, thank you, Albert. I said, I try to do this every single day, to connect with the oneness that's all around us. It's never been about David Leonard. And the theme for this month is living in and as the mystery. The indigenous people, and several people talked about it at the revealing service, they talk about life as the great mystery, and that everything is sacred. Could we know that? The indigenous people would go up to the tree and they would say, teach me and show me the way. They wouldn't think, now how can I harvest you and make more money at it? No. They would say that there is consciousness outpouring from everything in nature. Sylvia and I are big gardeners. I know there are several gardeners out here. But the garden is not just something that I do to harvest food. It truly is a mute gospel. Emerson said, nature is a mute gospel. It preaches to me. And this lady came up and pounded on my door. She went to a thing at the Botanical Gardens, and there was this horticulturist who said that we are here to create botanical expressions. And he said, if you've got land that isn't growing something, you're not using your land properly. And she said, I thought of your yard because everything he talked about, you're doing. I mean, it's truly an expression of life on steroids. Our Salvia guaranetica is blooming. And it started as one little plant, and now it's this huge swath on the side of the yard filled with these blue flowers that extend up to here, and the hummingbirds love it. So I've got a hummingbird orgy outside my house with this Salvia guaranetica. And I didn't plan it that way. It just decided to explode. And so when the flowers are expressing, I even did a class called Sex in the Garden here at the center when I was a brand new minister. I know Judy Graff or Sylvia's shaking her head, but I said, my garden is one big spiritual orgasm. The flowers are blooming everywhere. I mean, you get it out of the garbage. It's an expression of life and love unfolding through flowers and the expression of nature. And then, there's something that happens when you know that you're one with all of that. It truly is a flowering of the soul. And so in knowing that we're living in and as the mystery, it's about becoming one with everything. You know, I am you, you are me, we are one. We sing this at the end of the service. And could we let our long lives, Miss Susie, know that this is an evolution of consciousness? And you know what's so funny? The older I get, the younger I seem to be. I understand what Jesus said when he said, you must be like a child if you would enter this kingdom. My little boy, he would sit out in nature and he would be merging with all the plants. I would go home and my parents would be having, marital problems and screaming and this and that. And I left my family and went out to nature, and I found oneness in nature. I almost wanted to run away from home because I didn't want the insanity that was going on at home. I wanted the serenity that was all around me. And so when you watch the patterns on the energy, there's this invitation at whatever stage of life we find ourselves to go home. to find that child of wonder and awe. Next week, I'm speaking on living in awe and wonder. Oh, that's going to be a fun one. And this Sunday, I'm speaking about being endlessly surprised. I am surprised every single day of my life. I had no anticipation that yesterday, when we worked in the garden, saving all these plants, I had this young man, he's 20 years old. Oh, he can lift things and climb things and fix my pool and the water and climb up. And it cost me a fair amount of money. But at 77, it's hard for me to do that anymore, Sylvia. But he was out there helping me. And after we finished this long work in the garden and I gave him his big check, he started asking me, is your religion Christian? Do you believe Jesus was God's son? I said, well, of course I do. And we're all God's children. And, well, do you believe in Adam and Eve? And And I said, well, that's an allegory. Because if you believe that it started with Adam and Eve, the planet would be 6,000 years old. And we know that it's a hell of a lot longer than that. And I said, Noah's Ark. I said, do you actually believe that there's a God that would get so pissed off that he wanted to kill all of humanity? I said, I don't want to play with that God. Oh, well, you believe there's a heaven and a hell? I said, only as states of consciousness. And then my sweet husband saying, lunch is waiting for you. And I'm out there on the porch with an hour having this conversation. You talk about being surprised. I had no idea that I'd have to be standing out there. But when they come to you with their questions, Barbara, you have to try to answer them as best you can. Imagine no religion. I wonder if you can. I didn't sing that to him, but I wanted to ask him. And when life comes to you with its contraction, could you meet the contraction instead of running away from the contraction? And that was the question I was living with yesterday. So I look for my inspirational teachers, and one of my favorites is Mark Nepo, because he's this young man who's a poet, and he's written so many books. And this one is called Drinking from the River of Light, The Life of Expression. And in this non-dual reality, they talk about what we are light beings. In the Vedic hymn of creation, written gazillion years ago in the Hindu religion, they talk about this was all light, and out of light came consciousness, and we came from the light. And they say at the end, when we leave this mortal coil, we go back into the light. And so this is about drinking from the river of light, and that it's always there. And so it's an invitation to hear this poet. And I love when Raul sings and he recites, there's poetry coming out of that little Dominican Republic guy. Poetry comes out. And so Mark Nepo does that for me. He talks about catching the thread of truth. The truth is always there, but we have to catch that thread. And so listen to the poetry. He says, when our soul is aligned with the currents of life, we're often touched deeply by those unexpected utterances of life itself. The unexpected utterances. Even the flowers are speaking to us. And that kiss of the unexpected is often life-changing. Holy cow. Could we be changed by those little things that life presents to us? I certainly can. And he says, and when fully present and working with what we've been given, we're compelled by the current of the great mystery. Ooh, the mystery of belonging to the universe. But we have to pay attention, which informs the heart of our beingness, the way the wind ripples through a lake. He's a poet, remember. And when touched deeply enough, we're compelled to make a difference where we live, which is at the heart of our doingness. So he's taking you into that metaphor, Ben. At the heart of your doingness is you're having this mystical phase of your life. Then we stop in the rain without thinking to remove a fallen tree that is blocking the road. The novelist David Guterman, the author of Snow Falling and the Cedars, confirms it when he says, I write because something within me, this unconscious force, wants to express. And that is the first compulsion. The second is one of ethical and moral duties. I feel responsible to tell stories that inspire the readers to consider more deeply who they are. So in oneself lies the whole world. And if you know how, when Bob plays the piano, I feel his soul is expressing that music. My sweet husband asked me to get a piano for the house so I could play music so he could hear that. And I said, you're just going to have to go to Bob's and sit at his feet and hear the music. I put on, who's the guy in the music that you saw in Florida?
Yeah.
I put on Yanni this morning. I put him on every time I come into the center, and his music transports me. And then I started reading about him. He's 71 years old, and his whole life is an expression of his soul coming through his piano. And so he's got that same flow going. So he goes on to say this. So never dismiss those fleeting moments where you have a connection, no matter how they may defy ordinary logic. If I tell someone to go into the garden and commune with God, it's so funny. Richard talked about retiring from work, and now he does nothing except going to nature. And I said, Henry David Thoreau, when he was in his 20s, he said, I had to leave society and go into nature so that I might discover who I really am and not come to the end of my life and realize I've lived somebody else's version of my life. So he withdrew into nature, and he wrote that beautiful book, Nature, because nature was a mute gospel. And so he was having a direct experience of oneness through nature. And you're taking people out in nature, sacred experience. So he goes on to say this, never dismiss those fleeting moments of deep connection. He says, the moment that touches everything is the elixir of God, who having to leave this world, put all the godliness in those recurring moments. And then he quotes this at the end. When feeling what is ours to feel, each enlivened soul is a conduit for the allness of life. And in this way, everyone, when thoroughly here, becomes a poet. And the poet are the ones that express the divine through their writing, just as the artists are, the musicians are, the dancers are. So could we find a way to let our soul express? Endlessly surprised. I was remembering in my dreams last night, when I was a very young man, I went to University of Denver on a full scholarship because I was valedictorian in high school. I was a smart kid, and my father wanted me to be an attorney, so I started studying pre-law. But my soul wanted to dance, so they had theater dance, and I started dancing. The next thing you know, I'm in a dance company, and my soul wanted to dance, but my mind went. And so I graduated in 3 years, magna cum laude, Phi Beta Kappa, and I went to law school. And the first day of law school, my soul said, "This will kill you. This will kill you." And so I dropped out of law school and I became a vagabond. And always surprising how my college degree never did anything for me. But when I went off and was exploring the whole world as a lost soul, I ended up in San Francisco at age 25, and I went to a musical called The Chorus Line. And I'm sitting in the balcony way high. Trey was sitting next to me. We just got together. And Donna McKechnie was singing, God, I'm a dancer and a dancer dances. Give me somebody to dance for. Give me some place to fit in. All I ever needed was the music and the mirrors and the chance to dance for you. And I turned to Trey and I said, I think I've got to go back to the dance that I started when I was 19. So I went to San Jose State University. I signed up to get my master's in dance. And face it, I was no Baryshnikov. I was this crazy little soul who had the soul of a dancer. And then the choreographer said, you catch the hints, because we're always endlessly surprised. The choreographer said, all movement is discovered, it's not invented. And in that holy instant, the mystery started coming up within me. I need to explore that creative something that all those creative poets and musicians found. And then I started studying Mozart and William Butler Yeats, and they said this creative something happens in a flash, and if I miss that flash, I miss that creative moment. So the universe had a way of thrusting me in this discovery process that was always happening. But if you wanted to create a finite form, you're going to lose it, because then you think the form is more important than the journey. So Mark Nepo is the same way. He's this poet, and he keeps evolving and evolving. So I'm going to the end of this and see what he has to say. Being shaped by life itself. Every day, our will, all that is larger. Every day you will meet all that is larger than you. And that meeting wears us into a receptacle of acceptance and surrender, in which our care and expression is all that's left. Let life give you the journey that you're having. And maybe it's not a comfortable journey, Miss Judy Graff, but it's here for you. So he goes on to say, this process is often hard and unrelenting. Yet in time, we are worn open like bones that are hollowed out into flutes. And it is the life of expression moving through us that releases the music in our soul, Miss Susie. Oh, God. This is too hard to hear sometimes. The songs that play through us are the basic human truths that help us live our life. So this life is here shaping us through its challenges, through its opportunities, no matter what they might be. He goes on to say this, by diving down and coming up, we discover the voice within us. By drifting in the immensity, we discover the power of art itself. And by living a making, we can unravel the riddle of the self, which is necessary because our self is the only window we have into existence. So we have the courage to look within and to see who we are. We are living our making. We are shaped by the life that we've been given. And at the very, very end of the book, he says, and then we flow as life flows. We're flowing as life flows, Richard, at this stage of your life. And he uses the metaphor for metaphors for living in the universe. You know, a metaphor is a right brain thing. And when I studied The Art of Consciousness by, I can't remember her name, she says the right brain sees things in images where the left brain's very logical. So the psychology of consciousness, he says, open the right hemisphere so that the right brain, the creative part, can inform the left brain, which is the linear part. And so this is the metaphor. And so here's the metaphor he uses at the end of the book. He uses the metaphor of a meteor. A meteor is something that flies through the sky, I believe. I'm not really, that's his. So the metaphor is the meteor. Like a meteor hurtling toward the earth, each of us hurtles through the years that we've been given, warned of all that doesn't really matter. Like a meteor that shines brighter the more it casts off its light. Each soul shines brighter as the body that carries it is slowly cast off over our lifetime. We're spiritual beings, we're having a human experience, and the human thing tends to diminish itself, especially when you get older, so that this light can shine brighter and brighter. I'm 77 now, my husband is 78. All he talks about are the challenges that he's having with his body, but his light is so bright, and I remind him of that every day. Anyway, so brighter as the body that carries it is slowly cast off over this lifetime. And this is the same process that our deepest feelings and understandings are subject to as we try to express them. This is the very end of the book. Each truth shines brighter as the story that carries it is cast off in the telling, and there's nothing left but the truth itself. And both the light of this truth that we carry in our story and the light of our soul that we carry it in our lifetime illuminate us from the inside until we glow on the outside. We're letting go of all that stuff, and all that's left is the light that shines. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine and shine. I mean, Raul's light is so shiny, and I don't know what got you there. It must be that beautiful wife of yours. Anyway, until someone sees this light in our eyes and it is stopped by the force of life, we carry and release it by living. We carry and release this light by giving. Gigi has written 2 wonderful books, and it's the light expressing through her from her long-lived expression. So drinking from the river of light, knowing that what we are is the light, is living in and as the mystery. So that's how I started this book, Endlessly Surprised, how it manifests in our lives. Then I went to Deepak Chopra, one of my teachers. I've been so blessed to have studied with so many teachers, and they're all basically saying the same thing in a different way, that there's something that wants to express to you, Bob, and maybe it's the music. And when you sit down at that piano, boy, does the soul come through. Sometimes I just come in here and listen to him and feel the soul that's coming through his fingers. This is the Book of Secrets, unlocking the hidden dimensions within life, those hidden dimensions. And he says, in the one reality that we all share, consciousness creates itself, which is the same as saying that God is inside of all creation. So we're going to let this divine light within us express and reveal itself in unique ways. He says this omnipresence means that if any place exists, God is there. If any place exists, God is there. That's what I was trying to say to the young man on my porch yesterday, that it's all the Christ expressing in unique ways. It's not just God's Son. And of course, when you can't hear it, it's because you have a very strong belief. And Seamus was talking today in the revealing service. Beliefs can be prisons that we identify as. And when you imagine no belief system, well, then you're teachable. So skipping over a little bit, Deepak Chopra, he goes on to conclude it this way. He says, I will ask, what do I want to grow in my life? And this will tell me where my attention needs to shift. What do I want to grow in my life? I want to grow harmony. I want to go creative inspiration, all kinds of things. Nothing, he says, is random. I am weaving the tapestry of my world every day, and I need to know what design that I'm making. I will look for signs that show me my hidden belief systems. Look for those signs. You're being guided by life through everything that you do, Ben, at this stage. And he says, I will look for signs about my unfolding beliefs in whether I am loved and whether I deserve love or not. So we let love lead the way, and then the law will make the way possible, as Dr. Ernest Holmes says. Love is this guiding factor. At any given moment, Deepak Chopra says, the universe is giving me the best results possible in any given moment. I will concentrate today on the gifts that are in my life. I will focus on what is making and what is working in my life instead of what isn't. Put your attention on the stuff that's lifting you up and setting you free. I will appreciate this world of light and shadow. Notice where the shadow is. I will receive with grace the remarkable gifts of awareness. Awareness is the gift that we want to have. Awareness is the awakened consciousness. So I will receive the awareness when it begins to flower in my consciousness. I will notice how my own level of awareness makes me perceive the world that I'm co-creating. So we're all co-creating this world with the power that we've been given. So what kind of world are you making, Miss Reva? Are you making a world that feels positive and loving? And he says, my inner awareness is always evolving. At 77, Susie, it's still evolving. Where do I stand right now, he asks. How far have I come on my chosen path? Even if I don't see immediate results outside myself, I do feel that I'm growing on the inside. Today, I will face the questions and honestly ask, where do I stand? I will experience my awareness not as a stream of thoughts, but as the potential for becoming who I want to be. I am letting go of the things that no longer serve me. And as I'm letting go, I am healed, I am made whole. So there's this something that's emerging that is guiding all of us. Could we open to that inner guidance system? Ooh, that's what you're attempting to do, Ben. And he says, I will experience my awareness not as a stream of thoughts, but as a potential for becoming who I really am. And I will look at my limitations and my boundaries with the intention of expanding way beyond them. We have a little phrase that I use all the time. This too is good, and this too is for God, and I demand to see the blessing. And so when something comes up and it feels restrictive, Jim, I'd say that I know that this is here for me so that I can see the patterns and step out of those old ways of being. So the direction of life is now from duality into unity. There is no two in oneness. It's all the one life showing us the way. And sometimes it has to knock us over a couple times, Ben, in order for us to wake up, unfortunately. And I will appreciate, Deepak says, this flow of life for what it is. It is my own true self awakening. And I will notice those moments of intimacy that I have with myself and with others. And I will lie on the grass, looking up at the sky, feeling myself at one with nature, expanding until my being fades into the infinite. What a nice image. I will lie on the hills, looking up at the sky until I'm one with the infinite. I bet you do that, Bob, a lot in your little kayak, looking up at the sky. I am one with the things that are all around me. And so this is how we can experience that connection. I thought I would close with a little meditation in the Science of Mind magazine. This is such a wonderful little magazine, and Ernest Holmes talks about becoming your own best friend. In the busy hours of the day and the long hours of the night, we live alone with our own thoughts. So could we find those thoughts and ideas that support our unfoldment? And he does this little meditation. This is Ernest Holmes. And he says, so let us take as our thoughts for today, it is God that worketh within each one of us. Let us see if we can realize that we have an intimate relationship with this spirit. And above everything else, let us see if we can feel this intimate presence of our life that we're living, this intimate presence of the life that we're living. And as we listen deeply, let each of us say quietly, Bob, would you come up and put some music behind what he's going to say? And we can take these words in a lyrical way. It is God that worketh in me. I am now letting go of all fear and doubt. I am loosing it and letting it go as I affirm the presence of the perfect life within. I feel I am entering into life's harmony. I am one with its rhythms. I feel the rhythm and the pulsation of the universe flowing through me with perfect power. I am entering into a deep conviction that all is well with me and all is well with everyone else. I am entering into a conscious union with others. I am entering into harmony with everything that transpires in my everyday life. And I am feeling a sense of gratitude for life itself. And as I let go of everything that denies the goodness of life, I feel and know that God is giving life back to me as it actually is in love, as it is in harmony and peace. And I rejoice in this self-discovery that I see myself not lost, but I see myself as found in God. I am one with life's rhythms, and I feel the rhythm and the pulsation of the universe flowing through me right now with perfect power. And so in that awareness, we go within and we rest as that. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know. And so we rest in this awareness of the divine presence that's within us and all around us. We have arrived in the sacred moment, and we are home. And our life unfolds one breath at a time with a conscious intention to be here now, and in that to be love now. We know that all is well, and all shall be well as we allow life to unfold with ease and grace. Take a deep integrating breath. Give a sigh for the divine. And I'm going to ask Jody if she'll bring the plates down. And Bob, if you'll play something with a little zip. and then we'll do a little song. And thank you, my darlings. Say what? And the sidekick Paula.